Our first date was going great until he mentioned his dog had passed. My anxiety kicked in, and I blurted out a random TikTok meme, 5 big booms. He didn't get it. I showed him the video. He still didn't laugh. The silence was brutal. And somehow, I made it even worse. Wow. I never imagined I'd be posting on a subreddit like this, but here I am sitting in my room, internally screaming every 5 minutes from the wave of second-hand embarrassment that I caused myself. The date ended hours ago, but the memory is still fresh and cringe-worthy, like a bad tattoo you can't stop looking at. So yeah, I 20F recently downloaded Hinge for the first time. That alone felt like stepping off a cliff. I've always been a little wary of dating apps. They felt kind of forced and awkward, like shopping for people, but after a few too many lonely nights and a push from my friends, I finally gave in. I told myself I'd just be browsing for fun, maybe talk to someone interesting, nothing serious. To my surprise, I matched with a guy pretty quickly. Let's call him Alex. He had this laid-back, funny energy that came through in his profile. We bonded over weird memes, niche movie references, and just clicked in that effortless, "Where have you been hiding?" kind of way. After a few days of chatting, he asked if I wanted to meet up for coffee. And honestly, I was nervous but excited. It was my first real date with someone from an app, and everything had been going so well in the messages. I thought I had this in the bag. I did not have it in the bag, but then came Brian 22M. He wasn't flashy or trying too hard to be some smooth operator, just cute in a very normal, friendly, unpretentious kind of way. The kind of guy who looks like he'd help his grandma with groceries and then crack a dumb pun about it later. No shirtless gym selfies, no weird fish pics, no trying to flex. Honestly, it was refreshing. We matched, and shocker, he messaged first. That already earned him a few invisible brownie points in my brain. We started chatting, nothing super deep or philosophical, but enough to get a general vibe. He seemed funny, polite, laid back. We joked about weird childhood snacks and sent each other memes that barely made sense. It felt easy. Eventually, we moved the convo off the app, just casual texting here and there. No long late-night phone calls, no FaceTimes, none of that, which was fine, but also meant I really had no clue how we'd vibe face-to-face. Like, what if he was super quiet? What if I talked too much? What if we had the conversational chemistry of two bricks? And yeah, I was definitely spiraling. This was going to be my first ever date with someone from a dating app. So of course, my brain kicked into full-blown overthinking mode. I was overanalyzing everything from my outfit, casual cute, or is that trying too hard, to what topics were safe or fun but not weird. I kept telling myself to just be chill, be normal, don't overdo it, while absolutely doing the most. Needless to say, I was shitting bricks by the time the day rolled around. Tonight was the night. First date, first impressions, first shot at trying something new. And, as it turns out, my brain had other plans. Fast forward to this evening, and somehow things were actually going well. Like, suspiciously well. We'd agreed to meet at this adorable little paint bar. You know the type, one of those sip and paint spots where everyone pretends to be an undiscovered artistic prodigy while low-key panicking over their brushstrokes. Think dim, cozy lighting, soft indie acoustic music playing in the background, and a very chipper instructor who said things like happy little trees completely unironically. We had mocktails in hand and blank canvases in front of us, full of potential and delusion. But the best part? The conversation was flowing naturally. No awkward silences, no weird interruptions, just a steady rhythm of sharing stories, laughing at dumb jokes, and throwing in the occasional "wait, no way, me too." I wasn't even overthinking my posture or whether my laugh was too loud. Brian was charming in that easy, effortless way, never dominating the convo, but also never letting it die. I was starting to relax, to actually enjoy myself. Wild. And then we started talking about pets. It started so innocently. Brian glanced at my phone when it buzzed, probably a Duolingo notification passive-aggressively reminding me I haven't touched Spanish in 19 days, and noticed my lock screen. It's a picture of my cat curled up like a cinnamon roll, mid-judgment, just radiating contempt for humanity in the coziest way possible. He smiled. "Is that your cat?" I lit up instantly. "Yeah, her name's Beans. She's kind of a diva, but she fully runs the house. I'm just her unpaid staff." We laughed. It was cute, harmless. Then I remembered his profile photo, one of those outdoorsy, golden hour shots with two tiny dogs and a sunshine smile. Classic my pets are my children energy. I leaned in a little, casually asking about them, already picturing him launching into happy stories about park walks and ridiculous chew toy drama. But then the shift. His smile faltered for just a split second. "Yeah," he said, pulling out his phone. "I had two. This little goofball here is Cooper." He swiped, showing a picture of a scruffy, wide-eyed furball with his tongue out. "And this one." Another swipe. A slightly frazzled-looking white Yorkie stared back at me, eyes full of chaotic wisdom. "That's Roxy. She, passed away just after New Year's." And just like that, The mood did a full 180. It wasn't dramatic. No tears, no swelling music. Just stillness. One of those heavy moments where you feel the tone physically change, like someone dimmed the lights by accident. Where any normal person would take a breath, nod empathetically, say I'm so sorry, and let the moment be. But not me. Oh no. Not this mouth. Not tonight, because apparently, when faced with a delicate emotional moment involving a recently deceased dog, my brain decides that the best move is to make a joke. And not just any joke. A 5 big booms joke, because without hesitation, without a single neuron firing in protest, I looked at the picture of Roxy and said, "Aw. She gets 5 big booms." Silence. A full, echoing beat of "Why is the air thicker now?" Silence. Brian blinked. Slowly. He looked up from his phone, a faint furrow in his brow. What? His voice wasn't upset. Not even annoyed. Just confused. Blank. Like a human loading screen. Like his brain was desperately flipping through emotional flashcards trying to decode if I had just said something meaningful, or if he had accidentally agreed to a date with an unhinged chaos gremlin. And that was the moment it hit me. Not just hit me, body slammed me with the force of 6 big booms. I had fucked up. I felt it wash over me, the slow, creeping horror of realizing my mouth had autopiloted into some uncharted, emotionally volatile territory. Internally, it was like my brain activated the emergency broadcast system. What the hell was that? Why did you say that? WHO even says that? Externally, I smiled. That tight, panicked kind of smile that says I swear I'm normal. Please don't leave. Because here's the thing, he didn't get the reference. Of course he didn't. Why would he? It wasn't an inside joke. It wasn't a meme. It wasn't even a logical human reaction to grief. It was this dumb, morbid little joke I have with myself, where 5 big booms is like a totally arbitrary rating system I use for things I enjoy. Mostly action movie explosions. Like, oh yeah, Mad Max Fury Road? That's easily a 5 boom banger. You get it. But why did I decide, in that cursed moment, to apply it to a deceased Yorkie? I stared at him, scanning his face like it was the Rosetta Stone of social cues, hoping, praying for a smirk, a confused chuckle, even a forced laugh. Just something to show he was going to roll with it and not slowly back away into the parking lot. But no, just a blink. And then the dreaded polite closed lip smile. You know the one, the "I'm going to pretend this didn't happen for both our sakes but internally I've hit the blue screen of death" smile. And right then, I wanted to cease existing, or fake a phone call, or catapult myself onto the paint bar's splatter wall and live out the rest of my days as abstract art. Because here's the thing, I know I suck at serious moments. I panic. I default to humor like it's my emotional life jacket. The problem is, sometimes that life jacket is made of concrete. But this wasn't just sinking. This was me strapping myself to a rocket and launching straight into the Mariana Trench of social humiliation. And Brian? He didn't let it slide. I tried to laugh it off, toss a casual "oh, it's nothing just from this dumb video," and hoped the conversation would hit a hard left into literally anything else. But the look on his face said, "No, ma'am, we are not moving on from this." But instead of moving on, or even tossing out a neutral "haha, okay," Brian tilted his head slightly and asked, "Wait, can you show me?" And just like that, my soul exited my body. I blinked. "Really?" I asked, in that nervous half-chuckle, half-panic wheeze tone that basically says please say no, I'm begging you. "Really?" he said. Cool. So now, not only had I blurted out a deeply confusing phrase during a sensitive emotional moment, I was also about to double down and provide visual evidence of my nonsense. I fumbled for my phone like it was a live grenade, opening TikTok with trembling thumbs and frantically swiping through a cursed graveyard of algorithm-fueled chaos. Every meme, every cat video, every unhinged lip-sync threatened to explode before I could find the right clip. Meanwhile, Brian watched, silent, polite, still not smiling. The kind of silence that makes your bones itch. The kind of politeness that's less about kindness and more about containment. It felt like the reverse of a job interview, not where I prove I'm qualified, but where I actively demonstrate in real time why I should never be hired by another human being again. Finally, I found it. The video. This ridiculous, chaotic little clip I'd found at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, probably while eating dry cereal out of a mug. The one that had me snorting alone in the dark like a goblin. I handed him the phone. He watched it in silence. No chuckle. No okay. No anything. Just observing, like he was watching CCTV footage of someone else's nightmare. When it ended, he handed the phone back to me and said, in the flattest voice known to man, "Oh, I get it now." Yeah, so did I. I got all of it. I got that I was probably never going to see this man again. I got that Roxy deserved better. I got that 5 big booms might need to be retired. And I got that maybe, just maybe, I'm not cut out for first dates with normal people. From that moment on, I knew the date was cooked. Like an overdone, burnt on both sides grilled cheese, with sadness for garnish. I gave him the kind of weak, apologetic smile that says, "Yeah, I know." The kind you flash when you're trying to keep your dignity intact while your soul is actively trying to crawl out through your ears. We awkwardly transitioned back to our paintings, making small talk that was suddenly much smaller and much talkier. I threw out a few more safe topics in a desperate attempt to defibrillate the vibe, but the spark had flatlined. It wasn't just a bad vibe anymore, it was a full-blown post-mortem. Luckily, the timing was on my side. We were nearing the end of the paint session anyway, so we didn't have to marinate in awkward for too long. Just a few obligatory compliments on each other's aggressively average art, some polite laughter, and a soft, mutual goodbye that translated roughly to well. That was something. All in all, I learned a very important lesson that night. Do not, I repeat, do not try to lighten the mood of a grieving dog parent with a meme only your brain understands. Especially not on a first date. Brian, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. And Roxy, you deserved way more than 5 big booms. TLDR, first date told me his dog recently passed. In a panic, I blurted out a dumb TikTok meme about 5 big booms that he didn't understand. Instead of letting it die, I made it worse by pulling up the video to explain it. He didn't laugh. I spiritually combusted. Update, I think this is where you put it? Oh my God. I'm honestly a little horrified and also wildly amused that over 800,000 people read about my accidental dead dog TikTok meme moment. Like, hello, Internet. Welcome to my personal cringe documentary, but hey, if my social ineptitude brought a smile or an audible wheeze to even a few of you, I'll take the L with pride. Now here's the real kicker. Brian, not his real name, I'm chaotic. But not that chaotic, actually texted me this morning. He texted me, not to say please lose my number, not to send a single lowland disappear into the ether, but to thank me for the night. And say he'd like to see me again. I know. I don't understand either. Is this what forgiveness feels like? Is this the power of being so awkward it wraps back around to charming? Moral of the story: sometimes, even when you drop a meme bomb on someone's emotional pet tribute, there's still hope. Or maybe Brian is just the most patient, kind-hearted man on the planet. Either way, Date 2 is happening. And I promise not to bring up booms. So I guess the 5 big booms didn't scare him off. Or maybe he just respected the sheer commitment I had to the bit, wildly misplaced as it was. Either way, there's hope for us yet. Seriously though, thank you to everyone who commented, laughed, or gently roasted me. You made me feel a little less alone in the cringe void, and a lot more human. And to those concerned about the future of our generation because of my highly questionable TikTok usage, I promise we can balance ambition and absurdity. Sometimes we cure cancer. Sometimes we send each other 7-second clips of raccoons screaming into the void.